What is up, Misfits and Moonbasers? It's your boy Ray Recall coming at you again with another video review, and today we're going to be looking at something that I've wanted to review the moment I laid my hands on them. I just haven't had the time to until now, so without further ado, let's get right down to it. Today we're going to be looking at the Transformers Generations War for Cybertron trilogy, Earthrise, blah 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 blah, Commander Class, Lynx. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. We have officially gotten the Magnificence himself, and I have to say I absolutely love this figure. No secret that I actually stayed for a few months at a apartment complex right across from NASA earlier this year, and I don't know if that was foreshadowing me getting this or what, but I absolutely love this thing. It is an amazing, beautiful figure. As you can see, it's got the name Shuttle Magnificence right there. The official NASA logo, at least, or the old school NASA logo, so that's pretty cool. Lynx's infamous gilded auto badges, where they're picked out with some gold paint with the trim. I don't know. I just absolutely love this guy. So, yeah, let's just get right down into the review. So, anyway, here he is in his default alt mode. So it is the Starship mode, I'm guessing it is. It's not necessarily the shuttle. It's like the shuttle plus. It's kind of got everything all rolled into one. So this is how he kind of like flies through space, from what I understand. So it's got a lot of detail in it, and we'll get into some of that detail later. It's a very hefty figure, and it does have some little features in there. Like if you get back here, you can actually, if I can get my fingers in there. Come on. There we go. Got to untab some things. That's a very solid connection. Anyway, if you come to the back, you can actually drop down this little loading ramp right there. Load up some MicroMasters in there. It does have that Earthrise airlock clip system. I don't know how well you can see that, but yeah. So you can plug in other base figures to that, and store it away. You just kind of fold it up, pop it in there. Easy as pie. And it does roll. As you can tell, it's got huge rollers. The actual treads aren't the wheels. There's actually wheels here and two here. And they do a pretty good job. So, now there's not really much that can be said about this mode other than the fact that it is massive and it is like the most economic version of Lynx. The way that these two modes really shine is whenever you actually, or the way that this mode really shines is whenever you actually split the two halves. So to come to that, you just take this little tab, push down, that'll unclip from that little section. You can see where that is. And then the back also untabs. There's a little tab that'll go into this slot right there. Now whenever you're combining it back together, you want to make sure that that back tab is hooked on solid before you actually hook the front of the shuttle on. Otherwise, it'll just kind of flop off. Once it's secured, it's secured. But until then, yeah, you just want to make sure that the back is hooked on before you hook on the front clip. So anyway, we'll put the shuttle off to the side because we can do some more with that. But for now, let's take a look at this. So this is, yeah. I don't really know what the heck this is. I think it's kind of just more like a very stylized take on the shuttle transporter, I guess it is. It's very stylized. I'm pretty sure this is even a made-up something or other, because I'm pretty sure the actual shuttle transport, you know, they have them just kind of like that, and they just transport the shuttle that way. So I don't know. I'm not a NASA. But it is pretty cool, pretty chunky. They got a lot of nice molded in details. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you could have told, but these right here are actually the weapons. There's 2 of them on each side, and they just plug in right there via the little 5mm port at the bottom. So there's that. It rolls like you would expect a transport to roll. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Not really much, honestly, that this has going on. I know that in the original G1 Skylynx, this was more of just like a little... this is where all the motorized functions were. So, you know, whenever he was in beast mode, he could do the walking thing. When he was in this mode, it would kind of like trundle along on its own. As is, it's just kind of like an extra piece until you start to transform it. Now, this is only one of 3 modes that this section has. It's got the Trundler mode. It has a beast mode, because I don't think anybody's surprised, but like the 2 halves of Skylynx are their own beast, have their own beast modes. But they incorporated a new mode for this specifically for Earthrise. So let's go ahead and get that taken care of and out of the way now before we actually have to start transforming the shuttle. So to do that, you want to untab the front part, and as you can see, there's a big... I don't know how well you can see that in this light, but there's a big slot that this tab will go into. You just want to take this, untab it, rotate it all the way around, straighten out the limb, and then pop out this little shoulder extension. I want to do that on both sides. There we go, just like so. Flip it over, turn it around, and then you're going to want to take the weapons, move them off to the side, just for now. Untab these back limbs, and as you can hear, very strong ratchets on this thing. Take the little feeties, rotate them up, and then you want to take these sections, untab them, and just bring them down like so. Next, you want to rotate these parts so that they're facing out, and then take both of these halves and open them until they lock into place, like so. Take these little panels, unclip them from the sides. Go ahead and take this little ramp here, open it up, unfold it, and then take this ramp, open it up, and extend it upwards. It'll fall back down on its own, but whatever. Next, you want to take these little weapons, and the instructions have you... Oops, hang on, I had these backwards. Oops. The instructions want you to arrange them just like so. Sure. And then what we do with the rest of this is that we take the space shuttle. There are 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Just drop them down. And this, I will say, the way that the shuttle attaches to the base mode is not the strongest connection. It always wants to, I feel like it always wants to fall off or whatever. But if you can get it on there, it'll get on there pretty nicely. Come to the shuttle bay, open it up, rest the ramp right there, and there, ladies and gentlemen, you have Skylynx's base mode, and my goodness, that looks pretty good in my opinion. That is a very good use of the lower half of Skylynx, in my opinion. At least for vehicle modes. It's almost as if the shuttle is carrying its own mini base. Which is kind of what Omega Supreme wanted to accomplish, I think. But Omega Supreme can't really carry his base mode. Skylynx can. So, That, in my opinion, is a very good execution. So let's just look at some of the details here. You do see that there's 1, 2, 3 places for the airlock clip system to integrate with. So if you have any like ironworks or whatever, you can clip them on. What's his name? Astro Train's base mode can be clipped on there. I've done a whole thing where it's just like looks like NASA. The actual ramp here does have a little clip, but it's really more for other modes. The shuttle looks amazing displayed that way. And you do have, there's even some more detail. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but there's like, there we go. There's like little treads molded in to the underside of the base. Kind of makes it look like it's a mobile base in a way. So that, in my mind, is pretty cool. So, in my opinion. So that, in my opinion, like I know I already said that before, but just really good implementation of the base mode of the lower half. The fact that they added that in there, and it doesn't feel like it's just a tacked on mode, is amazing. So props to Hasbro and Takara for that. I really appreciate that inclusion. So anyway, let's go ahead and get the shuttle off of here. Let's go ahead and close that back up, and we'll take a look at him in just a minute. So let's go ahead and take this, though, and get it back into its final mode, which is going to be, of course, the Panther mode. So I want to go ahead and take all the ramps, close them back up. Going to take both of these sections and collapse them back together. Flip it over. Extend the paws, just like so. And go ahead and come down to this panel right here. Drop it down. Take this whole section, rotate it around, close that back up. And then the head is on this little panel that you just put all the way back. Ball joint right there. And there you have it. The Lynx, or the lower half of Sky Lynx in his Lynx mode. And he looks very, very nice. He does look a little bit stiff-legged right now, but it's all good because you have a ton of articulation with this figure. First of all, the head itself is on a ball joint, so you have a lot of range of movement there. You can open his mouth like Shin Godzilla levels of crazy. There you go with his laser gun tongue, so that's some real Shin Godzilla stuff right there. The actual base of the neck is on a bit of a hinge. You do get a little bit of rotation there. Front and back legs have the exact same articulation, so they do have ratcheted movement there. Ratcheted in and out movement, and so strong ratchets and cause him to open his mouth. Close your mouth, man. You attract flies. A rotation right here. You actually have a double jointed knee joint. About that much articulation. The paws are on a soft ratchet that can go forward that far and all the way back. And you do have a very strong 90-degree pivot. So this guy has a lot of posability in him. And if you play around with the joints, you can get this guy into all kinds of poses. So, or not really all kinds of poses, but you can have him looking really dynamic. There we go. Much more natural look than just the straight-legged. And of course, Of course, you can always take these weapons. You know, you do have the ports right here and right here. So you can have them be forward-facing guns. But just to kind of break up the monotony of the... or to differentiate the front legs from the hind legs, I usually like to use like the first elbow joint here and the second joint there. This kind of makes them look a little bit different, and then slap these on. Kind of makes the thighs look a little bit chunkier. There you go. So, yeah. Very, very cool indeed. So, that pretty much does it for the lower section on its own. There's still one more thing you can do, but before we go ahead into that, let's go ahead and take a look at the actual shuttle section, which is beautifully done. Very minimal kibble on this guy. He does actually have flip out landing gear. He's got one at the front and then two under the wings, and they do actually have little wheels, so you know, you can display them like that. Let's see, he does have a port right here, which if you have like a figure stand, you can actually have it, you know, looking like it's flying. Really, really good detail on the shuttle. I am amazed at how much detail they have on the shuttle. The only thing that I really think is that it was lacking is maybe just a slightly more rounded nose and some black paint near the front, and it would be completely accurate to an actual NASA shuttle, which I'm probably wrong. It's been a while since I've seen a space shuttle. I haven't really been into NASA since I was like a little kid, but one thing you can do is actually open up the cargo bay, show this really nice looking I don't know, modular cargo section. I don't know space shuttles. You do have a single weapon port there. There's a ton of weapon ports and little blast ports on this guy. I'm not about to go into all of them, but he does have them, so that is pretty nice. Now, the shuttle doesn't actually have as many things to do as the lower half, but it can still do a lot of stuff. Mainly, it can do the shuttle mode, it can do the individual beast mode, and it can do the combined mode. So, let's just go ahead and get into the individual beast mode for the shuttle. So to begin, you're going to want to take the thrusters, untab them, they're on this double hinge, and just move them out of the way. Next, come to the tail fin, huge tail fin by the way, and just pull the tail assembly out, and there are a ton of hinges as you can see, including this hinge right here. And then just close up the back, like so. Now the wings, whenever you remove the wings, you're going to want to untab them right here, because there's a little tab that tabs into that slot right here. And whenever you're going back to shuttle mode, you want to tab it in at an angle and then rotate that in. That way it locks the wing into place. If you just try to push it on, it doesn't really do so good of a job, I found. So that's what you want to do. Go ahead, and the way that I like to do this, you can see there's a ton of joints here. Bring this up, bring this down, open up this panel, and extend. And that's one wing done. Do the same thing on the other side. And you're going to want to come down here. The feet will just unfurl from inside this little place where they just lightly clip in. And every bend from here, here, and here is ratcheted. Some of them are soft ratchets, some of them are a little bit like actual spring-loaded ratchets. But there's a lot of stability in the Dino Bird legs. And yes, I said Dino Bird because that's what they called his beast mode in G1. And then finally, take the front and extend it out. And there are a ton of joints in the neck that you can play with. And ladies and gentlemen, here we have the magnificent one himself in his Dino Bird mode, and oh my goodness, he's a big bird. He is quite the big bird. I just love him. I say as I drop him. His feet, once you get him firmly planted and stable, they are very strong. But there are a few joints in there that are a little bit loose. Also, the fact that his feet themselves don't actually have very much grip. He does sometimes, if you don't have him balanced just right, his legs will just drop out. But yeah, that is absolutely wonderful. I am in love with the Dino Bird mode. Makes me wish I still had access, or I could hang out with my mom's pet parrot, because that bird was awesome, and this bird is awesome, and I'm so happy that I have this beautiful bird, Dino Bird. His neck has plenty of ratchet joints, as well as a ball joint right there at the back of the head, so you get a lot of moting. Mouth can open that far with his little tongue blaster right there. One thing I like is that if you partially close his mouth, let's see if I can do this. There, it looks like he has a tongue, and then fully extend, you have a gun. So there's some little options and display options that you can do with that. Makes him a little bit less, a little bit more charismatic whenever he has an actual tongue instead of a gun sticking out of his mouth. And you have a lot of joints that you can play with. Hinge joint here, rotation, hinge joint, another lower leg rotation, as you can see right there. Ratcheted hinge joint here. The toes are on hinge joints. Hinge joint, hinge joint, hinge joint, hinge. A lot of just so many different joints and stuff that you can play with on this guy. So you can get him into some really, really crazy poses. Now for a size comparison, just with these two together, you can see what we're working with here. And then let's go ahead and bring in Deluxe Class Cliff Jumper, just to see what we're working with. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and get this guy, or these two, combined into the full magnificent Sky Lynx mode. So move the Dino Bird off to the side real quick. He's the one that has the most involved part of the transformation. For the Panther, basically, all you want to do is just kind of put his head back where it was. You just rotate all this back, close it up. That's all the transformation you really need for this guy. For the Dino Bird, what you're doing to get him ready is basically taking his legs and putting them back into the body proper. Real simple. With the greatest of ease. There we go. You want to make sure all the joints are lined up. And now, this is going to attach the same way as the shuttle did to the lower half. So, there's that little tab. Right back here, there's a little... Let's see, there's a little slot right there. You want to line them up. Tab into the slot. And then... Yep, see, sometimes it can be a little bit of a pain. And then you just want to drop the top down. Give it a little shake, and it's not going anywhere. That means it's all attached nice and solid. And there, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the full-on kaiju himself, Sky Lynx, all in his full magnificent glory, and I absolutely love this figure. I absolutely love him. He does come with some blast effects parts, but I have them off to the side because it's basically, if you have Omega Supreme's blast effects, it's the exact same thing. And they don't really, in my opinion, they just kind of get in the way because there are so many and so big that even if I put all of them on him, it's just not really feasible. So, yeah, there you have Lynx in all his glory. He retains all the articulation and the limbs that his cat mode did, and all the articulation in the neck, wings, and tail as the Dino Bird did. Yep, his butt's starting to come off. There you go. There you go. Get that. Keep your butt closed. Yeah. Now, one thing that he can do that, and I guess so can the cat mode do as well. One thing that he can do is that in the show and the comics, he was always the Autobots transport. So what you can do is actually come to the bottom and drop down the boarding ramp. And you can have Micromasters drive up and down the boarding ramp into Lynx. So that is a thing you can do, which I think is pretty neat. Just a little thing extra. Same articulation throughout as I previously mentioned, so not really anything new going on there, but this guy is huge. I mean, just look at him. He's massive. I have like nowhere on my current display shelf for him. I mean, look at that. Do you see all that? I don't have any room for him. I barely have room for Triptychon. Once I get another display shelf, I might stick him near the top. But yeah, he is just so much. He's basically the size of a house cat. I've had a pet cat that was about this size before, and it's hilarious. So, now I picked this guy up at a local comic shop. It was the only one that they actually had left, which, lucky me. This guy retails for about $75, give or take some change. I'd say he's worth every penny. I felt the exact same way getting this guy as I did when I got Commander Class Jetfire. And you can see, Jetfire is massive compared to the other figures, and that scale translates over with Lynx. So, but instead of standing up, it's horizontal and wingspan. So, but if you have this, if you really want to get this figure, not having space for him is not a problem. I mean, I have found ways to display him, just on his own, just on like my desk right here, which is a little bit cluttered right now, but I got him just because I really wanted to get him, and I am not regretted my purchase whatsoever. If you want to get this guy, I know he's available at some online retailers. Some comic shops will still have him. But yeah, I'd say this guy is worth every penny. So anyway, without further ado, that's going to be it for the Lynx review. So once again, this is the Transformers Generations Earthrise Commander Class Lynx. I've been Ray Recall. Y'all have been awesome. And I will see y'all in the next review. Peace.